Mercy and blessings of Almighty be upon you. It gives me a great pleasure to be here with you in order to entertain your questions, observations, and many more, and to brief you about what we have done so far. As you all know, we have been given the opportunity to serve our country by assigning a portfolio to all the ministers of the federal government of Nigeria on the 21st August 2019. We were given that with a mandate to go and deliver. Prior to that, we had a presidential retreat on the 19th and 20th of August 2019, where all the ministers designate then were informed and educated about their responsibilities. Prior to the retreat, we were given some documents by the President through the Office of Secretary to the Government of the Federation that we were urged to go through them and know what are our responsibilities and the positive changes that we are expected to deliver within the time frame that has been assigned to each and every one of us. Because of that, in order to understand the sector very well, however, I had been an ICT personality for many years, and I had been in the sector as well for many years, and I also happened to be a chief executive under the same ministry for almost 3 years. That is the DG and CEO of the National Information Technology Development Agency. So I have been part and parcel of the sector. However, that will not be a reason why that as a minister I will not require briefings. So we started receiving briefings from the directors and the heads of units of the ministry, where they came and briefed us about their responsibilities, what they had been doing so far, the policy they had been implementing, and the challenges they have as well. After listening to the directors and the heads of units, then the chief executives under the supervision of the ministry were invited, which include starting with Galaxy, Nichcomsat, NCC, NITDA, NIPOST, and USPF. They were all invited. They came and made presentations about what they had been doing. I was more interested in listening to their challenges, because challenges are very critical. There are challenges that cannot even allow you to make substantial progress. So during the briefing, I was more interested in listening to their challenges, and I spent time reading through the acts establishing the agencies, or MOU, or federal government circulars, as the case may be. I studied everything, and I went online and read a lot about the agencies as well. So after the briefing, we identified the immediate challenges we have. Because the directives given to us, we are urged to start doing the work immediately. And each minister will have key performance indicators. Our responsibility in the ministry relies so much on broad policies, supervision, monitoring, and many more, and even policy direction. Because of this, if the agencies under the ministry perform excellently well, then by implication, the minister will be able to deliver his mandate. If the agencies fail to deliver, then by implication, as the minister supervising them, I will not be able to deliver. So that is why we came together, look at their mandate, their challenges, and we also came up with some short-term plans in which we urge them to go and work on them. Firstly, within the first 30 days. From that, it will be extended to another one, and it will be extended up to 100 days before a year. So this is what we have been doing. So by now, I was very much educated and glad with the briefings of my colleagues as the chief executives of the agencies and the directors in the ministry. And I also updated myself with the briefings I have received, or I have been receiving to date from the PAMSEC, who happen to be supervising the ministry before the appointment of or rather the posting of the minister. So I have been in touch with them. I have been having daily discussions and meetings seeking for more clarification. With this, I believe that we have something at our disposal that after 30 days we will be able to sit down and critically review what we have done so far, the challenges ahead, and set another target for ourselves. So by now, we have conveyed our short-term targets to all the agencies and the parastatals under the ministry, and we also have our own yardstick of measuring the performance based on the baseline they have submitted, so we'll be able to measure the performance. So at least 2 of the chief executives are represented during this briefing. MD of Galaxy Backbone Limited and the MD of Nichcomsat, they are here to represent. There is no need for all of them to be here, because doing the work is more important than just coming here to be part of this. So it's all about representation and division of labor. So all other chief executives are represented by 2 of their colleagues. Maybe next time other chief executives will be able to join us and represent them. This is in summary what I have to say. Thank you very much. Challenges that are beyond one's they are beyond one's ability. So this should be an exemption. However, in a situation where we have a set target and we believe that definitely the chief executive fails to deliver intentionally or because of negligence or laziness, as it happens sometimes with public officers like ourselves, then definitely there are some sanctions to be taken. Firstly, there is what the ministry can do. Secondly, there is what the president can do. President has given us permission to come and work on what he has directed us to do. We are doing. So whoever delivers the same performance will be conveyed to the president, that this chief executive has been doing well. And anyone who fails to deliver, the same will be repeated to the president, because we are here to represent him. Any minister who is appointed is just like an aide to the president. So I'm only sitting here representing the president, doing an assignment on his behalf. So because of this, good and bad will be reported to him. Most importantly, the good aspect will be reported to him immediately. And I do hope that all the chief executives will deliver. And I know they are willing to sit properly and deliver their mandate. And they have our support 100% to do that. If anyone fails to deliver intentionally, time can tell. Let us wait for the time. About continuity. What my predecessor started, anything that is meaningful and well for the country definitely will continue. We are not here to change all the policies. However, policies can be reviewed, because in ICT you cannot make them static. ICT is very dynamic. So there is no harm in reviewing policies from time to time. But we are not here to change everything completely. We are here to make sure that things that are good for the country, we continue to work on them. Anything that requires review, we are willing to review it. Secondly, whoever works with me will definitely tell you I don't have the same approach of formulating a policy and keeping it aside. I don't have that attitude. Any policy we set up, we must pursue it religiously. That has been my tradition. And go to any place where I work as chief executive, you will definitely see the policies that we have formulated or policies given to us. We are able to achieve them. By the end of, at least within the time frame, we are able to achieve them more than 90%. There is no single policy we have set for ourselves or has been given to us that we fail to achieve 90% in the place where I work before coming here. So this is a clear indication that this is not part of my own my own principles. I always to pursue all the policies. In addition, if you look at the press statement, what you have said is part of it. Galaxy and Nichcomsat has a role to play in e-governance in Nigeria. Particularly, they provide services to our own federal public institutions. NIDA as a regulatory body coordinates the framework. And that is why you will clearly see among the short targets given to NIDA, we have specifically mentioned Nigeria e-government interoperability framework. That e-government interoperability framework is all about the implementation of e-governance. If you look at the policies, the short-term, broad policies given to Galaxy and NICHCOMSAT, we specifically mentioned the need for them to increase the scope of their services, the patronage, to make sure more MDAs at least patronize them. In addition, we also urge them to make sure that the quality of their service is enhanced significantly. All these are in alignment with e-government master plan. So this is for your information. We are willing to pursue e-government master plan to logical conclusion. Thank you very much. With infrastructure, I know among the parastatals under the ministry, they have been doing relatively well in terms of infrastructure. NICHCOMSAT and Galaxy are backbone. And NICHCOMSAT and Galaxy are two federal government companies. They are to earn revenue. And they have been doing well, particularly now Galaxy in terms of laying their cables and many more. Furthermore, NITDA and NCC are regulators and they partake in ICT development. And they have many interventions all over the country. You can hardly go to an institution of the federal government of Nigeria without seeing an intervention of an agency under the supervision of this ministry. The interventions are everywhere. So infrastructure has been everywhere. And at the same time, as the regulators, they have been issuing license for even our local companies to come in and see what they can do and generate more revenue for federal government, even indirectly. So I think a lot has been done. Furthermore, when it comes to the new innovations and the new technological challenges, the agencies have been doing well. For example, some of the parastatals under the ministry give scholarship to students to go and study abroad in foreign countries. In addition to research grant that is being given to higher institutions of learning in order to partake in research and development, and also provide seed funding for our young innovators, challenging them to come up with innovative ideas that can be supported. So I think a lot has been done by the relevant parastatals under the Ministry of Communications. Furthermore, in the area of cyber crime and cyber security, cyber crime is a global challenge. It's not only restricted to Nigeria. You may wish to know that the most advanced countries in the world today have the highest level of cyber crime in their countries. And they are advanced. Because the more you advance, you progress, the more cyber criminals will target you. The worrisome aspect of it, as they say, cyber crime moves at the speed of light, while cybersecurity moves at the speed of law. The speed of law, as you know, is not that, the pace is not that encouraging, while the speed of light is something that is beyond your imagination. However, what is most important in the area of cyber crime is creating awareness. When your citizens know that as long as they are online, they are exposed to cyber criminals, the precautionary measures they take are more important than any action to be taken after the crime has already been committed. So that is why I will, with all sense of humility, I will say a lot has been achieved under the supervision of this ministry in the last 3 to 4 years. For example, among the parastatals under the ministry, some departments were established to focus more on cyber security. For example, at the National Information Technology Development Agency, there is a department that focuses more on cyber security. That was not in place before. The department was established in early 2017. And that department works on 24/7, monitoring all the potential attacks on our country. The department established Computer Emergency Response and Readiness Team. That Computer Emergency Response and Readiness Team works 24/7, except in some instances where we have some challenges. This system monitors all the potential attacks on our country, and the agencies or institutions in the federal and even in the private sector that are more exposed to challenge by calling their attention to take precautionary measures to be proactive in avoiding the attack. And I believe every day there are some relevant federal public institutions that are being informed and guided about the precautions to take in order to avoid the attack, or rather reduce the gravity of the attack when it happens. Most importantly, you may recall the effort of Federal Ministry of Communications and its parastatals during the WannaCry. It was an attack in which many developed nations were affected badly in Europe, in America, most importantly, including even North America, in Asia. But the gravity of the attack was not that much on Nigeria. Why? Because of the proactive measures that we have been taking. Immediately the attack took place, Nigeria was the first country to notify even the neighboring countries in the region about the attack. And secondly, Microsoft headquarters was contacted immediately, in which they sent the patches to us, and we distributed the patches to all the federal public institutions that were among those that were targeted. And they updated their systems even during weekend. By Monday, the attack was not that significant. It was less than 1% on our country. So what is most important for you to know, the area of cybersecurity doesn't require unnecessary publicity. Most of the things are being done secretly, because if you explain your strategy clearly in public, then this will equip the potential cyber criminals that are willing to compromise to go and work on your strategy. So that is why we don't unnecessarily make noise. In addition to that, you will be glad to know that at least a minimum of 2 parastatals under the ministry have already acquired ISO 27001, which is all about security, at least 2 of them. This is a clear indication that a lot is being done. In addition, we want to make sure that we encourage other federal public institutions to secure that ISO in order to enhance their own security. A lot is being done, but it's not for public. Thank you very much. Very much for asking this question. As I said earlier, all the chief executives of the parastatals are our good friends. We have been friends for many years. This will not stop us from pushing them to make sure that the President, Muhammad Buhari, delivers his mandate. We are here to support him. Because of this, they are our friends, but we want to make sure we push them to make sure that each and every parastatal under the ministry deliver its own mandate. No excuse will be accepted as long as we know the failure has no basis. Secondly, when it comes to telecom sector, ministry is not here to regulate the telecom sector. Telecom sector is being regulated by a parastatal under the ministry, that is NCC. We are here to supervise what they are doing, to monitor their performance, to set broad policies for them, and at the same time to give them policy direction. That is what we are here to do. As part of doing that, I believe you will agree with me that from the time you joined the sector in 2014 to date, issuing these short-term targets that address the immediate needs of Nigerians and their complaints is unprecedented in the history of the ministry. Will you agree with that? Will you agree with that? Yes. So I'm happy that you have agreed. It is unprecedented, meaning that the Federal Ministry of Communications is a next-level Ministry of Communications. Status quo must be challenged as long as due process is not being followed, or as long as supervision is not that effective. We know our work. If we are not willing to do the work, we have to clear the screen and allow other people to come and do. As long as we occupy the position, then definitely we must ensure that each assignment given to us is delivered. Because of this, we have given short-term plans to targets to NCC. Firstly, the issue of pre-registered SIM. Because of security implication, we cannot continue to ignore that. Even if the numbers cannot be registered, then definitely they must be blocked by the operators. And we will make sure that we push the regulators to the wall to make sure that our security in Nigeria is not compromised because of pre-registered SIM. This is not something that cannot be tolerated. Saving the life of a single Nigerian is more important than any money we can generate for federal government. So now we are talking about taking precautions to save lives and property. Most of the attacks that are taking place in Nigeria are through making calls. People will kidnap Nigerians and they will make phone calls. Some even after collecting the ransom, they will go ahead and kill people. So it is under our supervision to make sure that this is challenged. Status quo should not be maintained. Regulators are NCC, they regulate the sector, but as supervisor, we also regulate NCC. We regulate the regulators to make sure they do what is right. We are not here for tea break. This assignment given to us, we will not fail Nigerians. So any person who wants to work with us must sit properly and do the work. We cannot overlook it and we cannot ignore it. This issue is related to the lives and property of Nigerians, and we must make sure that no compromise. I assure you, we will not continue to close our eyes. The regulators will do their work, we will supervise them, and we will make sure that they call the operators to order. And if they fail to comply, or if there is any negligence, then they must be sanctioned as well. And that is the issues that we came up. If you look at the short-term targets, are issues that majority of Nigerians are complaining about. And mostly in the implementation, it doesn't require a huge amount of money. It doesn't. That is why we did not include issues that require budgetary provision. These are some of our day-to-day activities. When it comes to pre-registration, during the briefing, we have directed NCC to come up with penalties for those who fail to comply. Because it's not even enough to say we have directed them. What if they fail to comply? The same issue with illegal deduction of data. We also urge NCC, if they fail to comply, do you have any guidelines in place for punishing them? No, we say you must go and work on that. It's part of the broad policy that we have given to them. There must be a guidelines in place. When they fail to improve the quality of service, then they must be sanctioned. We protect the interests of our parastatals. We protect the interests of operators in Nigeria. Most importantly, protecting the interests of the citizens and the masses should be our preference. And that is what we are here to do. So I'm glad to tell you, it should not be business as usual. Each and every one of us must do the work. Minister must do his own work. PAMSEC must do his own work. All the heads of parastatal must do their own work. And all their support staff must do their own work. When we fail to do the work, there are laws and regulations in place. We will visit them and take action. And that action should be taken even against us if we fail to deliver. We have no reasons occupying the position as long as we are not doing to do the work. For you to be appointed is not a privilege, but rather given an opportunity to come and serve your country. You should be the servant of the masses, and that is why we are here. That sanction is not restricted to anybody. Any person can be sanctioned if he fails to deliver, including the minister himself. Nobody is above the law. Thank you very much. Attention to the issue of right of way. I asked them to give me a comprehensive report. I am here to represent and protect their interest. The same way we protect the interests of Nigerians, we must ensure that the interests of operators is also protected, because we should be fair to all and sundry. As part of being fair to all, certain decisions are not for public. Issues discussed in the Federal Executive Council, no one is allowed to come out and say them without clearance. So when there is need for me to seek for clearance and update you on that after the deliberation, then I will get back to you and update you. If the permission is not given to me, then I will not be able to let you know. Because based on cabinet affairs, responsibilities, you are not in any way allowed to come and release certain information without clearance. So these are some of the issues. When we finalize it, and I will ask for clearance, when that is done, we will at least issue at least a press statement to notify you about the decision of government on that. And the other issue of broadband penetration, we are also working on that. It's one of the reasons why USPF is set aside to handle that challenge. Some of the activities and the interventions of USPF will be reviewed to make sure that they are in alignment with the purposes for which the fund is set aside. And I believe that will be addressed. So far, about the issue of broadband penetration, we have around 200 access gaps in Nigeria. in our villages and some towns. And close to 40 million people to date have no access to telecommunication services. With this, we want to make sure, with the intervention of the relevant institutions and the ease of doing business we have in Nigeria, and at the same time, USPF will do our best to make sure that we eliminate or reduce the number of these access gaps significantly within the few years that we may spend here. It's my pleasure. Actually, I think there are many policies in place to do that. Firstly, by being a minister, statutorily, I'm the chairman of National Frequency Management Council. And also, being a minister, I'm automatically, being the Minister of Communications, I'm also automatically the chairman of a USPF board. I think with these two responsibilities, if you look at them clearly, it's all about this broadband penetration, closing the gaps. We will make sure that in our subsequent meetings, these are the issues that we are going to deliberate and come up with robust solutions that will handle the challenge. However, it is a responsibility for each and everyone in the ICT sector to do his best to make sure that we attract investors to Nigeria. Parastatals have been attending so many fora, including international fora. For one of the reasons we have been taken there is to invite investors. Through that effort, while at the National Information Technology Development Agency, we were able to get this AfriOne invested in Nigeria, producing world-class tablets. And there are many investors that came to Nigeria and invest through our modest effort. And I believe this effort will continue, since we are privileged to occupy a higher position that will give us that visibility to be able to speak on behalf of the Federal Government of Nigeria, being a member of the Federal Executive Council. And I believe within the next few months, a lot can be achieved. However, a lot has already been achieved in the sector when it comes to attracting investors. We had many that invested. I gave you an example of one of them, and we will continue to do that.
Thank you very much.
Caught me the way I say it, that will drag attention. Some of them are negative. I don't know what you do. But try to convey the message the way it is. We are most appreciative of you, and we will not deliver our mandate without your support. I'm so proud of you. May Almighty reward you immensely.
Amen. Thank you.
So,